This is a production of WKNO Memphis. Production funding for Sports Files is made possible in part by the WKNO Production Fund, the WKNO Endowment Fund, and by viewers like you. Thank you.
My guest today on Sports Files is the head coach of the Memphis Tigers women's basketball team, Melissa McFerrin. This week's edition of Sports Files is heavy on the sport of basketball. Later in the show, we'll take you on an exclusive tour of the Memphis Grizzlies locker room, giving you access to areas of the team that only a limited amount of people have ever seen. But first, the women take center stage. Hard to believe Melissa McFerrin is now in her 5th season as head coach of the Memphis Tigers women's basketball program. It seemed like it was only yesterday when she took over. McFerrin has compiled a more than respectable 89-59 record at Memphis, and last season led the Tigers to a second-place finish in Conference USA. Entering the week, the Tigers were 10-6 this season, an amazing record when you throw in the fact that the team has been crippled by injuries. And like her counterpart with the men, Josh Pastner, McFerrin is vocal and visible and a great representative for the university. Her fundraising efforts are not going unnoticed, and the changes to the Elmer Rohn Fieldhouse are a direct result. Today, the colorful, entertaining coach of the Memphis women's basketball team, Melissa McFerrin, on Sports Files. Melissa, thank you so much for joining us.
Greg, glad to be here.
We appreciate it. Well, this season got off to a inauspicious start, let's just say, with Mariah Rouser's injury, 3rd game in. Then you lose Bilquis Abdul-Qadir, and all of a sudden, everything that you planned for has gone awry. You have to go to the chalkboard and figure out something new. Has this been the biggest challenge for you as a head coach?
Well, certainly here at Memphis, there's no doubt about it. I probably would rival it to year one when we didn't really know what our roster looked like. But certainly your returning starting point guard in Bilquis Abdul-Qadir, and then the young player that you probably had most counted on to be impactful. They go down in games 3 and 4, and now everything that you're trying to learn about a new team with 8 new faces, now all of a sudden you've retooled once, but now you simply have to retool again. So without a doubt, but I will tell you this, we learned a lot about our team during that time. We took some tough losses, but at the end of the day, I think we probably pressed Ariel Hearn into service much more quickly than we would have ordinarily, and she has really responded along with some of our other players. Words that come to mind, adjustments, perseverance, which obviously these young ladies have done. You went on the road, you had that big winning streak, and you won a game against your alma mater, Missouri, and we're looking at video of some of these young ladies really stepping up. Talk about finding yourselves really on that road trip. When you went ahead and won some of those big games that you did, that really seemed to make a big change after the problems with the injuries early. Absolutely. Won at St. Louis in a very hard-fought game, which it typically is at St. Louis. Went to Seton Hall and won another hard-fought game, both of them by, I think, spreads of 7. And at that point in time, we're beginning to get comfortable again with our new personnel in terms of what we do. We're trying to get Devin Mack and Mimi Ajanaku running lanes because we think they can score, because we've lost some scoring with Bilquis and also with Mariah. Our post players came into focus a little bit more then. As we got through those 2 games, we began to see Pasana Hope and Ann Jones becoming a little bit more solid. But at the end of the day, it was simply about putting players not in new roles. They had already been in new roles, but a second time in new roles in the span of a month. Second place last year in Conference USA. What does the race look like this year? What are your challenges? The race looks like UTEP probably leading the race, along with perhaps Tulane. Tulane at this moment may not look like a contender, but they will be by the end of the season. And I also think UAB. I think those would be the top 3 teams that anyone would point to. We were picked 5th in the pre-conference poll. However, we're hoping to close that gap and be one of those teams that's in the top 4 as we go into the final 2 weeks of the conference season. Our challenge is those 3 teams. I think now we know what our team is. We're going to have to whether our young players may be hitting the wall in a January and early February, which is very, very typical. So we'll have to weather that time. But as we go down the stretch, we want to be a team that's talked about in the top 4.
Big game this weekend in New Orleans against Tulane, so that's one of those opponents you talked about. Last weekend, playing at FedEx Forum, you got a nice victory over a rival, Southern Miss. What is it like to play at FedEx Forum, coach at FedEx Forum, and the young ladies who you're recruiting, how nice of a recruiting tool is it to play those games every once in a while at the Forum?
FedEx Forum is an outstanding facility for us. I even had one parent say, Melissa, this really legitimizes your program when you can take games to a beautiful NBA arena downtown in the city of Memphis. And as we've improved our on-campus facilities, now our facilities are beginning to be a draw as opposed to a hindrance. So we love to take our national TV games down there because it shows every recruit that's watching our game what a beautiful facility that we play in. They drop the curtain. It's about 8,000 people. We can put 3,000 and 4,000 and 5,000 people in there, and it can really be a true home court advantage. And our players now like playing there. In the beginning, they didn't. We hadn't had any success. But now we've begun to win nearly every game at the Forum, and our players love it.
Great home court advantage, but also it's a nice home court advantage when you fill up Elmer Roane Fieldhouse. You're now into phase 2 of reconstruction, just adding. Phase 1, you were able to bring in the new locker room with the lounge, the video room, plus the new scoreboard, the video scoreboard. What's going on with phase 2 at Elmer Roane?
Phase 2 right now, we are completely demolished on 2 levels below floor level. So what we are rebuilding is in fact a training room complete with a hydrotherapy pool where we can rehab our players that can not weight bear to stay in shape. We also have a polar plunge to ice our players down at the end of tough workouts or after games. And then in the pit that we're affectionately calling it, we will have a completely renovated weight room with a cardio area, also an additional player lounge there, and really in a layout that's going to be a great enhancement for our recruiting efforts because it's going to be very picturesque down there. The public will never see it, but our recruits will, and certainly our players, our current players, will benefit from having a beautiful state-of-the-art training facility.
And while that is ongoing, your new boss, Tom Bowen, the Memphis AD, comes into town and all of a sudden talks about a new practice facility on the South Campus that will be shared by the men's and women's basketball teams, state-of-the-art. We talk about your recruitment of these young ladies and having the benefit of FedEx Forum, a restructured Elmer Roane Fieldhouse. How about this new practice facility? I know it's going to take a lot of money, and it's still in the drawing plans, but how will that benefit you?
Oh, that is the new thing in college basketball right now, to have a men's and women's combined practice facility where the women's side mirrors the men's side. Tom came into town with this idea, and he is full charge ahead, trying to make that happen for both our men's and women's basketball teams. Certainly, the Finch Center and the Elmer Roane Fieldhouse have served us incredibly well, but in this new era of very, very big-time college sports and very big-time facilities, that now begins to put us on par with the better programs in the country in terms of what their practice facilities look like. Weight room, training room, 2 practice courts, probably a court and a half, so that we can have 6 baskets for high volume shooting. But it is going to be a state of the art, and it's going to be an incredible recruiting tool for our program.
You alluded to earlier a freshman you have, Ariel Hearn, who's been terrific. She's a local player from Arlington High School. What is your relationship like with the local coaches around the area, and talk about recruiting locally?
Well, initially when we came here, now nearly 5 years ago, we were coming in talking about winning and winning big and being the class of Conference USA, but we hadn't done anything yet, so it was simply words out of our mouth. So it was very important over the course of the last 4.5 years that we have actually done what we said we would do, and that is bring this program back to respectability, compete at the very highest level in Conference USA, get back to the NCAA tournament, which of course that mission still continues. But we've become a team that has accepted an NIT bid 2 years in a row. And now I think we have gained the trust of the local coaches. And we have gone toe-to-toe with some big-name programs for recruits. Some we've gotten, some we've lost. But certainly now I think that those local coaches trust that we are going to win at the University of Memphis.
Melissa, if there's something you could change about collegiate women's basketball, you had the power, what would it be?
Wow, that's
a
loaded question.
Is there something that has bothered you, whether it be rules or just the game itself?
No, I think at this point in time, we're trying to find our way in terms of media exposure.
Sure.
We're trying to find our way in terms of attendance. And that probably is the one thing. We feel like we have a really great product that somehow we've had difficulty selling. Now, I will say this, having been in programs where we average 12,000 people a game and 9,000 people a game, we know that it can happen, but we have got to find a way to market our program in a way that the masses now begin to take notice of women's basketball.
Speaking of those type of numbers for attendance, you're moving into the Big East. And we know right now it's pretty fragile. But more than likely this upcoming season, the 13-14 season, Connecticut will be around, Notre Dame should be around. You're talking about two amazing women's basketball programs. What is it going to be like to go into the Big East and these young ladies you're recruiting telling them, hey, you get to play Gino Auriemma and the Connecticut women's basketball team?
Honestly, to date, we haven't talked much about it. The thing that I have told our players was when we go into the Big East, of all the teams that are coming in, I want them to talk about Memphis so that we are the newcomer that people take notice of. And that really has been our goal. But we're going to go into some of the greatest arenas and some of the greatest women's basketball facilities in the country. To go to a UConn and experience a sellout with thousands of people there. That will be new for our players, or Notre Dame, those very high-level programs. But quite honestly, at this point, we haven't spent a lot of time talking about it, but we will. As soon as this season is over with, we will talk about we have got to be the team going in that people take notice of in the Big East. And then we have to let the chips fall where they may. There aren't many people, many women's basketball programs that can go into a UConn and win. So that is not going to make us unique. We're going to be chasing UConn, but so is the rest of the country chasing UConn and Notre Dame. But what it will do, it will allow us from a recruiting standpoint to tell the players that we recruit, you're going to play against the best competition available nationally.
We end all our interviews with something we call 5 for the road. 5 questions, quick answers. You ready for this?
Okay.
You all set?
I'm ready.
What is your favorite professional sports team?
Wow, that's not an easy, quick one.
Yeah,
I'm going to say the New York Knicks.
The New York Knicks?
I was in D.C. with the WNBA, became a Knicks fan.
Became a Knicks fan from being in D.C.?
I'm sorry. I was in New York and D.C. with the WNBA.
There you go.
When I was in New York, I became a Knicks fan.
Became a big Knicks fan.
Absolutely.
Favorite professional athlete of all time?
Teresa Edwards.
What an amazing player. From Georgia, right?
Absolutely. From Georgia, a 5-time Olympian in women's basketball.
Your favorite musician, music, genre of music, what do you listen to?
Reggae. Favorite genre of music is reggae.
Reggae?
Absolutely.
How about what reggae artist you prefer?
I like a lot of them. But I just think it's happy music. It's happy music. I always say, get in the car, put down your top, put on reggae, and all of a sudden you're on vacation.
See, you learn a little bit about our guests with 5 for the road. That's why we do this, reggae music. All right, 2 more for you. Favorite TV show of all time?
Not a big TV person.
No, not a big
TV person at all.
I'll
tell you what my favorite one is right now.
What is it?
Scandal.
Scandal?
Scandal. That's the hot one right now.
Okay. How about when you were a kid? Was it something growing up?
Not a big TV person.
Really you were outside playing, which is what you should be doing, right?
Mm-hmm.
All right, final question for you. How about your favorite movie?
My favorite movie.
Every guest we have, it's this question is always perplexing to me.
I mean, the natural to say is League of Their Own, because that's such a great thing. But I'm one of those people. I watch a movie, it's done. I can't even tell you who the actors are in the movie. So that's a boring answer, but it's true. Well,
you're trying to make a movie of your own this year with the women, and hopefully it works out well. So far, so good. Off to a great start in Conference USA play. Best of luck in New Orleans this weekend and the rest of the season. And thanks for being with us.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate it.
That's Melissa McFerrin. We'll take a break. Coming up next, Overtime. So here's the scenario. The Grizzlies have just wrapped up their game at FedEx Forum, and you head to your car to go home. In the meantime, the team heads back to the sacred grounds of their locker room, which is a far cry from any ordinary locker room, and it's off limits to fans. Until now. But thanks to John Pugliese, Grizzlies Senior Director of Marketing Communications, and Ross Wooden, Grizzlies Coordinator of Basketball Relations, we get to go on a little tour.
Welcome to FedEx Forum in the Grizzlies locker room. It's a once-in-a-lifetime experience to get down here and see where our Memphis Grizzlies train, work out, and really spend the majority of their time here at FedEx Forum. So I'm happy to have you guys here, happy to have you here, Greg, and I hope you enjoy this behind-the-scenes tour.
It is a sacred ground for most people who don't get to see it. Pugs has been with the organization for a long, long time, going back to Vancouver. So if you're ready, let's show everybody what's behind this old steel door.
You know, the first thing you see, obviously, we got a big room here. We got 15 guys, 13 guys on our roster now. They're all tall, they're all big, and they need their space. And we also want to make this comfortable. Like I said, they spend a ton of time here. They spend a ton of time together in this room. So we want things to be as comfortable as possible with from ergonomic chairs. As you can see, Mark and Zach, not only do they work well on the court, they also sit together in our locker room. And, you know, they're always talking strategy and basketball. You know, for each of the players, they actually have a personal DVD player and screen to watch tape, although a lot of players nowadays use their MacBooks and all sorts of different computers and iPads. A lot of things go on in this room. Over here, we have our large flat screen TV. We also have a film projector for coaches and for the team to watch film pregame. We have our board where our coaches will run through some of our offensive plays. They'll really focus on the visiting teams who are the top leaders, from good three-point shooters to poor free throw shooters, offensive rebounds, team stats, and also talk about what they're looking to achieve this game from a defensive standpoint, from an offensive standpoint, and really break down the player matchups. So a lot of great things happen in this room. Obviously, they spend a lot of time here. We want them to be comfortable, and we hope, you know, the media is also comfortable when they come in.
Pugs, it's a beautiful locker room. I would imagine it has really evolved over the years, especially when you were with this team in Vancouver. Probably looks a lot different today. Oh, absolutely. You know, just from a design standpoint, obviously that's probably the biggest thing. We don't have, you know, it's not the 1990s anymore. We're in 2012, 13, and so you see a lot of those design elements within the room, but space, size, and how, you know, sports science has really developed into make this truly a job. It's not just come in, get changed. And you'll see the rest of the locker room suite where they have their weights, they warm up, they get taped up, they warm down. You'll see training rooms, and you'll see all those technologies that really come into a full locker room suite. You're going to hand off the baton to our good friend Ross Wooden, right? Absolutely. Ross is going to take you on the rest of the trip through the locker room, and hopefully you get to see a great behind-the-scenes view. And we'll see you at the end. Sounds good. Thank you, Pugs. Thank you.
Now, Greg, you can tell from the echoes of our voices, we can only be in the players' shower area inside the locker room. And you can tell from the nozzles just how tall some of these guys really are. Temperature controlled in here. It's a good place for players to go after the game and get kind of cleaned up after the games and the practices. We have some saunas out there as well as for the guys who like to kind of relax. And let's go take a look out here inside the training area. Okay. Greg, follow me. We're going to enter the hydrotherapy room where we have various whirlpools for the players to kind of get the treatment that they need. We can adjust to kind of hot and cold wherever the situation dictates to get them ready for the games. Ross, would you know if the players use this room more after a practice, or do they use them after the games, or is it even? Well, in my observation, it kind of just depends on how many bumps and bruises they have going on. Obviously, it's a long season, and there's a lot of, you know, nicks that these guys get over the course of the year. All right, where else are we going? Let's take a look out at the rest of the training room. Okay. And when we get into the weightlifting room. Well, I would imagine that during the course of a season, all the players at one time or another are spending an awful lot of time in this room right here. Absolutely, and sometimes you don't really see it out on the court. A lot of guys kind of fight through things, and as the year goes on, they kind of learn just to kind of play through it. And yeah, we take a good amount of time, and the trainers take a good amount of time to kind of get these guys ready. You have a great staff, obviously. Absolutely. Drew Graham, Jim Scholler, Kelly Lambert's our strength and conditioning coach. Got a lot of tables here where these guys get massaged, get kind of stretched before the game, taped up, any number of things.
No stones unturned, I would imagine. As far as being with media relations, do they give you a nice massage, nice little rub down once in a while?
Not yet, not yet. I've never asked either.
What's next?
Let's go into the weightlifting room.
Ross, we know how well-conditioned basketball players are, some of the best athletes in all of sport. We don't normally see a lot of really big, beefy, bulked-up basketball players, but we do know they hit the weights, and you have one impressive weight room.
And you can see how many weights they hit. We have some of the best athletes in the world, and we just try to take the proper measures to kind of get them what they need to stay in shape and, yeah, take the court.
There are some, I'm sure, that like to lift a little bit more than others. Some maybe don't want to get as bulky. Is there a player or two that you know of that really like to hit the weights more than others?
Well, it depends per player, but we all remember that Zach game where he kind of led us to the overtime win in Phoenix. He had that monster 38-22
right?
Yeah, exactly. He came in and lifted for however many number of minutes before the game started as part of his routine, and it obviously helped him that night.
So he was lifting before that game that night. He went for 38, as you said, and 22 rebounds. That's got to be uncommon, right? To lift that much before a game?
Well, it really comes down to a personal preference is what I've seen. Some players like to, some players, you know, they'd rather not. It kind of feels like that affects their game a little bit, but they just try to listen to their own bodies and what they want to do. They all have their routines, and they listen to our strength and conditioning coach, Kelly Lambert, whose job is to kind of put these guys together to kind of take the court.
Go through their routines, go through their regimens, and Kelly Lambert does a great job with these players.
Absolutely.
All right, what do we have next?
Let's take our next stop to the equipment room.
Okay. Mel Ross, I guess this is where they make the Grizzlies look good.
They do, and they put a lot of long hours into doing it. Chuck Sweeney and Vince Ford are some of our hardest working guys here. We have an actual laundromat back here. If you want to follow me, we have washers and dryers. This is all for one team. And you can see just jerseys, t-shirts, practice gear, shorts, headbands, towels, more towels, everything that they need. And if you follow me back here, closets full of more of the gear. Each player has 2 or 3 of the home, road, and the alternate versions of the jerseys, which they keep back here as well. More gear, headbands, other things that I haven't seen before. And Greg, what size do you think you need off this rack?
I'm usually
here?
a large, sometimes extra large, depending on the fit. You got something for me?
Well, I do see this might fit. How about Hamed Haddadi?
Let me try. That should fit, I think. Let me.
Oh, maybe not. Maybe not.
No,
It's
that's
a
more
little
like
long.
a dress, I think.
Yeah, I think so. Well, how about we throw it back to Pugs for one more thing?
All right, Ross, great job. Thank you so much.
No problem.
Well, we're at the other end of the locker room right now, and just over here to my left is the coaches area. So from Lionel Hollins, Barry Hecker, Henry Bibby, Dave Yeager, they're all in there every game, reviewing tape, going over strategies. And as we head down the hall here, we start off with the pictorial history of the Memphis Grizzlies. So every day the players walk in, they see where we came from, not only Vancouver, but all the way through the years in Memphis. This door right here leads to our video room. And in there, we go through all the different games, both ours, our opponents away, and really do a great job of getting tape to players and making sure they're reviewing them.
Is there one player who may want to look at the tape and examine his opponent more than any other?
I think they all do a little bit, but definitely you can say that about Tony Allen. Pre-game, whether he's on the training table getting taped up, or whether he's in the locker room just putting on his shoes, he's got his headphones on, his laptop in front of him, and he's reviewing tape to make sure he gets those defensive stops he's so famous for.
He's focused. More pictures here as we walk down the hallway?
Absolutely, and here really starts our time in Memphis, from the building of FedEx Forum to our first game, playoff game, all the way through to our brand and logo change, highlighting Grizzlies Academy, some of our community work, our Martin Luther King game, and then some of the accolades we received in the last 10 years.
All right, where are we entering now?
We're coming into the Players Lounge right now. So a little oasis and break from the taping, from all the tape, the weight room. In here, we're able to have pre-game meals, prepared meals for all the players. They can watch some TV, relax. They can also play a little pool or ping pong, and there's definitely a lot of players in here who enjoy ping pong.
Well, Pugs, this has been, again, very informative. Also, as we said, something that folks don't normally get to see. Thank you so much for taking us behind the scenes on this tour.
Well, I really appreciate you coming out and showing this to everybody, and we hope people get down to FedEx Forum to see this team play soon.
Absolutely. Thank you, Pugs.
Thank you, Greg.
And there you have it. Thanks once again to John and Ross for playing the role of tour guides And to Grizzlies Director of Media Relations and Publications, Jason Wallace, for all his assistance in helping us here at Sports Files. And that'll do it for now. Remember, to see any previous show, head to our website at WKNO.org and click on KNO Tonight. And we'll see you next time.